Greetings and salutations, everybody. My name is MiAh the King, and today we're looking at a game that came out yesterday called Nostos. This is an odd one, to be honest. It's weird to explain, so I'll let the Steam store page speak for itself. Nostos is a cross-platform multiplayer game for PC and VR in an open-world setting where Oriental animation elements are found. You can explore with friends, discover historical sites and remains of war, build shelters and fight, uncovering the truth hidden by time and tasting the past stories of hope or regret. Sorry if I don't sound as energetic as normal, but it is very late at night. I am very tired and I've had a very long day, but I wanted to get this out as soon as possible for you, the gamers out there. So, what I think this is an open-world survival exploration RPG style game with anime-like art. That's pretty much what they're saying, right? I'm pretty sure that's the gist of this. I mean, it has serious exploration tendencies. It's very much open world. It has RPG style quests, inventory, and skill systems. It does have very anime-esque art, and it has survival elements such as food, hunger, cold, poison, crafting buildings, and campfires, along with research. So, I think I'm pretty much on the ball here for the description of this game. So how is it? Is it any good?
Who's breathing?
I mean, that's what you're here for, right? Well, for that, you'll have to keep on watching the video.
You can hear that, but
Oh, and by the way, can you do me a favor real quick? Can you just hit that subscribe button, please? It doesn't cost you anything, literally. It just costs you a few seconds. You're not going to be bothered by anything, unless, of course, you hit the bell. And even though this doesn't bother you much, it helps me out a lot. Okay? Thank you. So, this game is really confusing. It has zero story, but acts like it has one, which is kind of weird. And you're just sort of popped in the middle of a hub-like area where you go to these portal-looking things, and at these portal-looking things you can join a world procedurally generated by either another player, or you can choose to generate your own world. It can be private, for just you and your friends, or it can be public where any other player passing by can join. Once you enter this world, you have a random goal, or quest, or whatever it is, and you basically just do that goal or quest. I think. The game doesn't really explain it very well. Okay, so the first I want to go over is the good. For the good, I gotta make special mention of the sound and music. More the music than the sound. I mean, I know I would have mentioned the audio anyway, but still, I wanted to talk about it. This deserves special mention because the sound throughout the game, or at least the ambience, the sounds that create the ambience, is freaking amazing. And the music is super intense and super atmospheric. It spirited me away, and I got lost in the powerful imagery, which was made more powerful by the beautiful music. Check this out. That was impressive. And as you travel around in these random worlds, the sounds of the wind, the bugs, the birds, the flames of the campfire in the background, it's all stunning and realistic sounding. So I have no complaints or criticisms there. The art style is another good thing. In some ways it's kind of, basic, but in other ways it kind of works for me for this game. I like it. It's pleasant, but it's not childish, and it's friendly, but not kiddie. Does that make any sense? It's refreshing. That's the best way to put it. The graphics are refreshing. But unfortunately, that's about all the good I can say for this game. Now we get to go on to the bad, and that's the rest of this First Impressions review video. So if you're just looking for a glowing recommendation, leave now. The rest of this video isn't for you. The first thing that happened to me when I got into the game was the lag, the glitching, and the stuttering of frames. And if that wasn't enough, the game crashed on me once, sending me to the desktop. That was within my first 30 minutes of playing, by the way. It froze on me once for over 5 minutes. It was like 6 or 7 minutes, I can't remember how many. And at one point, while trying to relog back into the game after that one crash I mentioned, I got stuck in an infinite black screen. And I wasn't the only one. It was really weird. Everyone else was stuck in this weird black screen limbo thing, too. Check this out.
I don't know if it is loading. I think we're stuck in a black abyss.
Because I got into a black abyss and then it changed into what I think is the tutorial area out of a bunch of grey boxes, and then it wouldn't let me move.
I'm closing my eyes and imagining I'm in VR.
You're an anime game. Shut the fuck up.
Yo, why are you bullying me, man?
My mom said I was pretty.
Staring at a black screen.
Yeah, I think they might have knocked something out because like I'm.
Dude, I'm in VR. I can't see what you're talking about. I'm sitting in a loading screen.
Then, while randomly playing, I found myself dropping through the ground and slingshotting around the map like I was one of those toys, the ball on a stick toys, you know, the ball with the string on a paddle. You know, I felt like I was one of those. So the game, it's not stable, it's not smooth, and it's not reliable. The combat in this game is so boring, repetitive, and lame, it's just best to avoid it if you can. Actually, the best way to put it is lame. The combat is lame and broken in various different ways. Sometimes while aiming my gun and firing a bullet, the bullet will just kind of show up from somewhere off screen, not from where my gun is. And the hit detection with melee weapons is terrible. Whether I'm mining a stone or chopping a tree or trying to hit an enemy, like 1 out of every 3 hits just doesn't connect, even though neither of you or the object you're trying to hit have moved. Oh, and here's another thing, there's no way to block or dodge an enemy's attack unless you are holding a mace and shield combo weapon. And for an open world exploration game, there's no jumping. Yeah, that was a good move, developers. The game always has mics on as well, so players are always talking. With no options, there's no way to turn that off or to mute other players, and you get to listen to them acting like little annoying dickbags just to amuse themselves.
I have no idea what the hell's going on. What is this? Must be level 3. Can I
just
join
read?
this?
The game's UI is very poor and confusing. It's like the No Man's Sky UI. Remember that and how annoying it was and how it was just terrible to navigate through? Like when you were in combat and you had to go through different menus to get to your shields or health to recharge or whatever. Basically the same thing here. You got to go through 2 separate menus to find a potion to drink when you're in the middle of a fight. It's terrible. It's like they've never played an RPG game ever. I mean, to be honest, pretty much every mechanic about the game is just terrible. The only good here is the music and sound. The graphics are secondary, you know, they are considered a good thing, but it's not like they're great or anything, they're just passable. The only thing that really stands out here is its music. But I will say that for an online survival game, it is only asking for $20. And for the amount of production value that is here, and for the potential that it could be, I think that the asking price is actually very reasonable. If this game had had a great start, tons of people, maybe some different gameplay mechanics, then hell, that price would have been a steal. I'd be urging everybody to go out and buy it right now. This game isn't in early access, by the way. This is a full release, and even though I didn't do a full deep dive review, I did play this for over an hour, and I'll also say that after that first 45 minutes of glitchy, laggy, broken gameplay, when I relogged on, the game was running just fine. It was really weird and out of left field. I was incredibly surprised, and it's what forced me to keep playing at all. But this didn't really help the game's impression that much either. With the lag gone, with all those other glitches gone that I was so focused on before, now I could focus on the other aspects of the game, and that's where I found that the crafting was boring and confusing. That's where I found that the enemies were ridiculously overpowered. That's where I originally found that the combat was boring and lame. And I found that the exploration was simply not satisfying. And then I found just nothing to do. I mean, in the first 15 minutes of this new start, the one after I relogged and the glitches went away, I had everything crafted and built, and not a single enemy had shown up, even though my main objective was to defend a totem from enemies. At that point, I decided to explore, which unlocked more items for me to build, finding these fancy little crystal boxes that you open and gives you a research cylinder that you research, and it just unlocks items you can craft. Went back to my research bench, and after researching those things, went to my crafting bench, and couldn't figure out where or how to build any of the new items. I don't understand. I had just learned how to craft these items from the research thing, and these new items, like if you go to your research knowledge, it tells you like this is where you make them from. So I went to where I'm supposed to make them from, and there was no option to make them. It made no sense to me. There was simply no way and no explanation of how to build these new items. which meant that now exploring was pointless, and since it wasn't that fun to begin with, I just stopped. And now comes the biggest thing. It's not actually the biggest thing, but I'm starting to feel like it needs to be because of how often this happens. There was no fucking tutorial. Again! I don't know why game developers nowadays feel that they don't need a tutorial for their new fucking game, but this is getting on my nerves. Oh yes, viewers, I am indeed pissed off about this, and I'm not afraid to show it. This is getting really frustrating, how games just don't give us tutorials anymore. From now on, any game that doesn't have any tutorials gets an immediate thumbs down for me. I have played 4 games in the past week, all of them indie, and none of them had any tutorial. Only one of them was simple enough to not need one. And guess what? Those other 3 were freaking terrible. Technically, all 4 were terrible, but at least one of them had a reason, had an excuse for not having a tutorial because it was incredibly simple. Okay. Sorry about that. Had to get that off my chest. I'm calmed down now, I promise. But look, the game is broken, laggy, and it's not stable. The game is boring and unoriginal. The game doesn't come with a tutorial, and any information to learn about this game is really scarce. And it's just not fun. I mean, maybe in a few months when the kinks are ironed out, and you've got a few friends to play with, then maybe you can pick this up and play with them. Maybe. Maybe. And only if you have disposable income. This is my warning to you guys out there. If you are trying to spend your $20 wisely, then stay away from this game. It is not ready, it is not worth it, and if you're truly super interested in this, then give it a few months. Wait until after you've played through Cyberpunk 2077 a few times, or wait until you've played through Dragon Ball Z Kakarot that's coming out soon. After you've done that, then come back and check it out and see if it's had any updates and if it's worth your money. But until then, guys, don't do it. Don't waste your money. Alright? I mean, I don't do this because I hate the game. I don't do this to ruin the dreams or futures of indie game developers. I don't do this to be spiteful. I simply do this because I want to help people spend their money on video games more wisely, and maybe one day, through me and other YouTubers working together, and with our lovely fan base, we can get games made from developers the way we want them to be made. Imagine paying $60 for a game that gives you 100% of what you're looking for. How long has it been since we got that? Look inside your heart, look inside your favorite game that came out in like the last year, and tell me, was there really nothing wrong with the game you really love? Like nothing at all? Early access isn't an excuse, and promises from the developers isn't an excuse. Though that is a goal that's 10 years down the road. 10 years from now, I hope to be influential enough to be able to hopefully sway video game companies to make better games. And I hope that one day I can work with other large YouTubers and other reviewers, and we can put the pressure on these game developers to make their games the way that they're supposed to be made, the way they used to be made. Remember KOTOR? Remember the original Star Wars Battlefront? Remember the original Fable? Remember the original World of Warcraft? Remember these games that used to capture our attention and hold us? We were called nerds and dorks and, we were glued to our computers. We could never leave our games. It's because our games were good enough to warrant it. And it's hard to find games like that nowadays. Okay, guys. That's all the time I got for this episode. I'm really tired. I'm going to go to bed. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my video. I hope I helped some of you to save some money. And I hope to see you on my next adventure. So until then, I bid you farewell.